Hey, cool. Hey, let's start. So today we have three agenda items. The first one is to talk about what the teleconsultation module is and why we are having two lines of development code, and what's the plan of keeping one so that it's just less maintenance work. And then the second one is the overview on the last project. The last one is the discussion on the cohort. Right now we are using the static cohort, but then there's other options, the dynamic cohort as well as the accumulative cohort. So there are three agenda items for today. Hey, Win, do you want to go first to talk about the teleconsultation module as well as what's the plan to keep one line of one development line instead of like two? Hey, Win, you're on mute in case you're talking. So basically, so maybe I can give some background while Win's trying to work on his mic. So actually the main line of development is the teleconsultation APK, but Win has been forking from that to create a mUzima APK, and that's what we've been testing against. The main reason is that he wasn't, because the teleconsultation piece was still kind of like in development, we were not very sure whether it's stable or not. But after all these testings, and we feel like it is pretty stable. So what Wayne is thinking about is that, hey, why not we just keep one line of development instead of like having two? Instead, we should add a feature to let the users to decide, hey, I want to turn on or turn off the teleconsultation piece. That's pretty much what this ticket 193 is about. So anyone have any questions, or do you want to know more about what teleconsultation is?
Ada, hi. Okay, so what we understood is that there's a main line of the code, and that's the consultation line, and you guys have created a separate fork of that line, and that is the mUzima. That is where we build the mUzima APK from.
Yes, that's correct.
And the better approach is to use the teleconsultation line. So you don't want to be doing this fork in the future. You want to just use the main line.
Yes.
And then you want to turn off the features of the teleconsultation part. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct.
Okay. So we're not really sure what. I mean, I don't know what teleconsultation even is. Like.
Okay, sure. We can give you some background on that.
Hello.
So, hey, Wayne.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
So the teleconsultation piece is that, as you know, like we used most of the providers that use the mobile device is because they are the community health worker or community health volunteers who might be medically trained a little bit less than those when compared to the medical doctors or the physician consultant. So when they might have some doubts on the field on certain conditions, they can take a picture or take a video of the client and then send a teleconsultation request to the physician consultants to get more like express advice how to move forward. So it's more like a request from the field provider asking the decision consultant who has a little bit more expertise on the subject and say that, hey, what do you think, whether it should, what kind of medical action you should take. And then it will send a notification to the physician consultant, and then the physician consultant can reply back to the requester. So that's pretty much what it is about.
Okay. So is there any specific reason why you all were initially forking? I mean, it looks, are they other end users, other mUzima end users going to be using it the same way as these people? Like, I don't see what the who the end users are. For the mUzima API, I think it's the healthcare providers. For the teleconsultation, what are the APK? It's again the healthcare provider. So why would you want to create two different forks?
I think because it wasn't, we were not able to present that it was RESTful.
Pardon me, I'm sorry, we just like the voice got gargled. Can you please repeat that?
Yeah. So I think Lee was trying to say is that because the development work for the teleconsultation piece was new, and then we were not confident that it was very stable. We don't want to cause any conflict with the core mUzima piece. So that's why he forked it.
Okay. So why would you, under what situations would you turn off the teleconsultation?
So when they just do the regular encounter visit, there's no need to ask for the expert or the physician consultant for any advice.
Right. So I'm just trying to see, is it a, would it be more easy to maintain? I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm sure you guys have already thought this through. What I'm trying to understand is it a good idea to keep merging into one main line and keep turning off things and keep track of what you have to turn on and what has to be turned off using the configuration, or is it just better to just, I know, is it better to have two separate repos? I don't know how easy it is to like turn off the teleconsultation unless you guys are already doing it. Is this something that you already are doing?
No, that's why we have this feature in 93 to talk about one line of code, and then to add a feature that the provider can decide, hey, I want to turn it off and on for the teleconsultation piece, because not everyone would need that feature. We just don't want to show, how to say, we just want to give like options to the to the users. When they don't really need it, they probably don't want to see it, so they can just turn it off, the feature. Shrita, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Okay, I think we got it right now.
Cool. Wayne, do you have any things to talk about the plan, how to add this as an option to turn it on and off?
Yeah, I think the plan is just to the toggle in the configuration is just gonna disable the big button that we have on the landing page. Excuse me. So we don't want to make things complicated, because once you remove the landing page button, you effectively cannot go to that area. So you cannot add the data, because what we're afraid of is user will access that section in mUzima. So right now what we have is we have cohort, client, forms, and then in the teleconsultation, we have the teleconsultation button. So if you want to disable the teleconsultation, I think we will remove the button number one, and then remove the the entry in the patient dashboard, so you cannot access the teleconsultation because there's two entry points to get into the teleconsultation side of the APK.
Do you think Sridhar or Vikas can work on this one?
Yep, I think it should be. I'm trying to share my screen, but for some reason it's not responding.
New laptop.
Yeah.
That's right. So maybe you can add some information on this ticket later on. So any more comments or questions on the first topic?
Let me sign out and then I'll be back again.
Okay, all right. So while we're trying to get back in, Manny, are you ready to talk about the last study?
Yeah, and I think we can do that.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah. So ideally, with regards to I think the work that is required, but the group is ideally mainly now on the forms, and so they have two categories of the forms. They have the costing form, more of a research form in terms of the research on like why patients or the people don't link to care. So it's mainly a research as per why people or clients don't link to care despite the fact that they are hypertensive. So they have the costing form, which ideally tries to do a research on the cost implications of people linking to care. And this form ideally is currently being used, so we developed it, and they are currently collecting data using the form, and it's being saved to a different database. And this is mainly because it doesn't contain much of clinical data. So they have a database within the AMPAT servers, and that data is currently being saved. And they do have two other forms, which is the linkage and the retention forms, and these are the forms that display the videos and images for their decision support. And these forms have some clinical aspects to it, so the data will be submitted to the AMPAT MRS production server. So right now we are done with the retention tool. So last week I added the images and the videos that were required for that particular form. And currently I am adding the image for the linkage form. So if that is done, we are planning to start testing of those forms on Monday morning. So I think mainly the remaining work with regards to the LAC project is ideally to complete those two forms, and ideally maybe make any of the changes that might be required.
So the LAC study, they send the data to store in AMRS production, is it correct?
Yes, that is for the linkage for the behavioral assessment forms. So they have two sets of forms. They have the cost effectiveness form, and they have the behavioral assessment forms.
So they have the cost effectiveness form and then the behavior assessment form. I think we might be losing Manuel's connection.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
Manu, I think you're back.
Manu, you're on mute now.
hi.
Yes, Manu.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
No. Forms with regards to the LAC study. They have a group for the cost effectiveness form, which is ideally one form, and currently that data is being saved to a different server within AMPATH. It's not being sent to production. Then they would have the linkage and retention forms, which data for those forms would ideally be sent to the production server. Ada?
Yeah, so can I recap? The cost-effective form and the behavior assessments form both are complete development, and they have been in use, and the data has been saved in the LAC server.
So the cost effectiveness form is the only form that has been complete and used.
Okay. So the cost, okay, and that one is stored in the LAC server.
Yes.
For the behavior assessment form, that one is not complete, but it's also planned to save in the LAC server.
No, production, the production server.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so the behavioral assessment forms are split into two. So they have two forms for that. One is called retention, and the other one is called linkage.
Oh, those two I remember now. Yes.
Yes. So the retention one is complete, and we are starting test on Monday. For the linkage one, I'm currently adding the images and videos to that.
Cool. So so you probably would need help to make sure the retention form is with the minor changes from the testing feedback, and then also need help in the linkage form.
Yeah, I think so. Ideally, I hope to complete the two forms, but after testing, some changes might come up.
Okay. So those are the two, and then the costing form, that one is done, or I still need help on that?
No, that is done.
That one's done.
They are currently using that.
Has it been in implementation?
Yes, they are currently using that. They've actually been collecting data on that.
Okay.
Costing form, yeah.
Cool. How about for the CDM? Is there anything you need the developers to help?
Yeah, so currently they are doing rollout for CDM, and I think we've been talking with the team in the field, and they have a couple of changes that supposed to be documented. Implementation process like creating locations, adding providers. So yeah, I mean, most of the changes would come in after the guys on the field are back and document the findings.
Okay, can you do us a favor when they create a relevant ticket in Jira? I know that they usually create under the CDM Jira project, but can they add us as the watcher so that we know we need to pay attention to and work on it?
We'll do that.
So Shrita, do you guys have any question or comments in terms of the helping manual transition plan?
Not right now, not really, Ada. But we're here if you guys need any help on the LARC or any of the forms.
Yeah. So mainly, the mUzima.
Hello.
Hello.
Is there anything else you want to share? Okay. If there's no comments for menu, so I'm going to ask you to put all this documentation on the wiki page so that I think it's just easier and more clean that way.
Yeah, sure. And I'm working on creating like a documentation on all the work done and probably providing the forms and the codes required.
Great. Just try to do it on that page, and then that'll be great.
Okay.
So, Wayne, are you ready to show yours?
Yep, I think so.
Thanks, Wayne.
Yeah. So the landing page is pretty much the same. The only thing that we have is this notification. I think there's a bug here. We can call it a bug, I guess. This one says 0 new, 0 total. I think it should we should have all the previous notification, but when a provider open it, we should mark it as read, but don't remove it from here, I think. So I'll show you guys the workflow for the teleconsultation. It's pretty much the same with regular OpenMRS forms workflow. So the first one is you have a patient, and then we'll have the teleconsultation form in this case. You start fill the data. And counter date. And then there's a few questions. History of current problem, previous treatment, question to consultant. And then, I don't know, priority. And then this is the the directed consultant. So we have two type of provider entered in this form. The first one is the provider who's asking the question, and then the other one is the provider that we know will have this specialties. Any question so far? So good? And then the next one is where we collect the media information. Um, we can capture image or select an image from the device. We can also capture audio or video. The audio and video is still pending because I don't think the what is it called? The handler on the server side is done yet. So let's just do image. The other improvement that we probably need to do, Ada, is making this UI look similar with our standard UI.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it looks kind of different.
So are you going to take your own picture?
No, obviously not. I am glad it's not showing the... So after you take picture, you can add some information into this picture. Picture of the day, for example. And then you say accept. It will actually save it and then associate this box with that image. So you can add like more image if you want. And then you say save. Now you have the complete form. And then the next one is you need to submit this. Oops. Need to submit this complete form to the server. Ada, can you share the OpenMRS test server?
Okay, hold on a second. Let me try. I need to log in as the second provider, right?
Yes. Actually, now I think in the device, if you use second provider, oops, I think it's the wrong password.
SCP-123.
Yeah, SCP-123. Yeah. SCP-123. Ah, there you go. Is it the second provider? 1, 2, 3.
I don't think it got sent, but I don't see it. Maybe go to the error queue.
Okay, can you look at the...
It's here.
Oh,
It just
okay.
joined.
So if you click on the number 1 link, and then you should be able to. So this gets generated when you submit a teleconsultation form. So you'll see this is the image. It's kind of, I think the viewer in the OpenMRS need to be resized a little bit. Yeah, but this is the form that we submit earlier. And then in addition to, so as you can see, all the question is here. What picture is this? And then capture clinical media and blah, blah, blah. In addition to this one, the form that you submit also generate question to the provider. So you can go to the admin page, and then there's going to be a teleconsultation entry in the admin page. Did you reply, Ada?
No, I did not reply. I think it did not show, and it later show up. I don't know why.
Oh, maybe the data. It takes a while to load the data, I think. Maybe we should put some loading or something. Is it FCP or SCP?
The second one. So it should show under the incoming.
I saw it earlier. Why is it not showing?
I know, because I click on it and go to the encounter and then come back and then it's gone.
Can you click on the number 1 over there?
It's gone. It's not showing the
So
URL.
click on incoming, and then click on the replied. Put a check on the replied. Show replied to.
I did
There
not
you go.
reply.
Yeah. So this one is the one that we that gets generated by the teleconsultation form. So now we can say we can hit reply, and then so the provider now is sending information to the previous um, consultant or provider. So we don't map exactly like the name in the form, because I didn't know the name of the form, but this one is matching by the system ID of the provider. So in the form, the first hold on. CP123. In the form itself, the first provider is this one guy, and then the second provider is this one. So the server is matching by the provider internal system ID, but we don't use the same name, so don't be confused with that one. Okay, and then if you put some message, just write some message over there, Ada. And then you hit send. Now on the first consultation provider, if you hit refresh on the notification, you will get this one. Can you see it? This is the message that was sent by Ada earlier. So if I hit on this one, it will take me to the patient, and then, oh, for this one patient, we have a new notification coming in. That is the one that sent by Ada earlier. And then if you hit it, you'll see blah, 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 blah. And then I think the bug here is if you go back now, it will be gone, I think, after, like, because see this one, it doesn't display the notification. So when you press refresh on this one, it, in addition to downloading the newest notification, it also download the new observation for that patient. Any question?
So I think probably um I think someone's mic. Hey, Ashrita, can you just mute? Yeah, thanks. So if I'm the second consultation provider, and I receive a request from the first consultation provider, and I look at this, let's say this patient John Smith encounter, and then I provide my information. So when I log into my device, would this John Smith client be added to my patient list on my device, or no?
Yes, you are sharing the data.
So does it mean it would automatically download John Smith patient demographic record as well as all his encounter and observation record to my device, or just that one particular encounter request?
I think it's just the latest encounter based on your sync time, I think.
Yeah, that piece, I think I'm not very clear. Maybe we can ask.
Yeah, we need to check that one probably.
Yeah. Go ahead, Shrita.
We're good, Ada.
So I think there's a lot of improvement yet that we can do, and there's a lot of testing that we still need to do. For example, like what happened if, just like what Ada said, a new provider used the device and they get the consultation, but the patient is not in the phone. I think that workflow, we never really tested out data.
Yeah, a lot of a lot of new features to consider. Yeah, cool. Any more questions on the teleconsultation, please, guys? If not, I want to take the rest of the time to discuss about cohort. So currently we are using the static cohort, but it has its disadvantage on that piece because when the cohort list, let's say that when we run the static cohort, let's say that it generates 100 patients, but then later on when the new more patient qualify for the definitions, it would not be added to that cohort list. So we have something for already ready for the dynamic cohort. That means that the dynamic cohorts would automatically to say that, hey, these are the updated list of the patients. Let's say that there were 10 patients from the 100 yesterday. Let's say like yesterday was the 100 patient was qualified for this cohort definition, but then today 10 of them no longer qualify, so it become 90. But then we add 20 more, so it become 110 patients. But the original 10 patient would not be showing up on today's list. So it picked up the patient that who meets the criteria. However, it dropped off the clients that previously qualified for the cohort. So that is the disadvantage piece. So what we really want is to come up with like a cumulative cohort definition. Is that once you're in the cohort, even though you might be no longer qualified, but you're still staying in the cohort list. I don't think we have I don't think we have discussed how this should have been done programmatically. Do you want to talk about this one now? Because I think it becomes significant for the implementation needs right now.
Yeah, I think that was the main issue with cohort definition, and then evaluating the cohort definition to get the actual cohort. So as everyone know, what we have right now is a static cohort, and you have a list of patient ID inside the cohort. So you download the patient inside the cohort based on this list. But as I think what is needed by the provider in the field is going to be a list of patients matching certain criteria. And then once they match this criteria, they will stay in the cohort unless someone play around with the cohort record in the database. We have So currently what we have in OpenMRS is one, create this static list of patient using the cohort builder, the one that you see in the OpenMRS on the top. Yeah, the one that's being shared by Ada. The other one that we have in OpenMRS is you create the definition to create the patient list. For example, you create a definition. The definition of the cohort is going to be patient with age between 5 to 10, for example. This is what they call cohort definition. And then you evaluate this cohort definition to get the list of patient IDs. The problem with this one is someone will get into this cohort and out of this cohort, but we will never know who who currently get in and then who currently get out compared to if we evaluate the same cohort definition 1 week ago. Um, so, is it correct, Ida?
Yes. So I think we need something more like accumulative cohort that we
Yeah,
do.
so one of the idea, Ada come up with this idea, I think we create a module where we can add new patient into the cohort as they qualified. For example, you create a static cohort currently. For example, for patient between the age of 5 and 10, we have the list of patient IDs, and then we'll have a task which will run, I don't know, maybe daily or weekly, and then this scheduled task will try to find additional patient that is not inside this cohort already, and then add this new patient into this cohort. So now we'll have one cohort record which will grow as new patient comes in and qualified for that particular cohort.
Win, do you want to go one step further, as we previously discussed, that to include the in and out day, or like with a marker, it was qualified, but it's no longer qualified right now. Just give more data points for different needs later on.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, I think in order to get that, we cannot use the standard cohort then, Ada,
Mm-hmm.
because that would mean we probably need something else.
So I don't
Yeah,
know if we put
I
in
agree
the
with
F.
Manu's concern.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason that I understand it would get very big, but then if we put the marker, people in and out, the in day and the out day, and also put a marker, as of today is really like qualified or not. um, we can filter out for different implementation needs to say that, hey, we can actually filter out for the, hey, as of today, no, for today, this X number of patients actually eligible for this cohort definition. It just gives more like, and then if maybe like a different implementation, they really want to get all the patients since the implementation in start day, they really want to get like a whole list of the patients, for the cohort. So that's why I think it's good to have all these different marker on data points that we collect, so that it gives more flexibility instead of like just having one fixed method. It would kind of create a lot of limitation later on for us to redo all this work. That's really my concern. And also I know that they also try to talk about how to for the cohort builder replacement as well. So this might be something that whether we can work with them to have the joint efforts so that maybe we both can get benefits from it.
Yeah, I think it's if we want to collect something like that, I think it's better to talk with Burke and hear what he thinks about it. Because that is going beyond what the current cohort can do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just want to hear feedback from other members just to see, if you have any suggestions or comments on this. Because this is going to be significant and very important for the implementation rollout.
So Ada, yeah, we're just we understand what the limitation of running the query once, and then as new patients get registered every day or patients get dropped off, the cohorts are not being updated in time. So probably the data that you see on the device is outdated, right? This is the issue that you guys are trying to solve or get around.
So we're
So we're
struggling between the
going
two
between
methods. The static cohort
the
will
static
create
cohort
one
with
statically.
one static.
So as new
So
patients
as new patient
qualify for the cohort,
qualify for the cohort,
it would not be showing
it will
unless
not be shown
someone
unless
will run it. For the dynamic cohort, because we don't know the patient in and out from the cohort, because you might be qualified one day, but then you might not be qualified for the other day. So that is the challenge for both. Both method has its challenges. Um,
um,
so
so your
that's
changes are for the changes that you're proposing, is it more on the OpenMRS side or for the mUzima side?
it could be
It could be
like a
like
module for
much.
mUzima needs, but it's going to be on the OpenMR side. So it can just like you guys create the Care Plus module, in the OpenMR side, pretty much just maybe like an extension of the cohort builder or cohort definitions that on the OpenMR side, and just so that it would fit in our mUzima needs. So we can create like a module to accommodate. So, but then I agree with Win that maybe we should just talk to Berg just to get his um, inputs, like what's the best way to handle this one.
Right. Because right now, I think the cohorts that we are actually downloading onto the device are the OpenMRS cohorts. So if you're going to have a specific module which would be doing, collecting or creating cohorts or updating cohorts independent of OpenMRS, then wouldn't there be a lot of duplication of data?
So it
So
would be what ideal way in my mind is that it would add additional columns to the cohorts, kind of like an extension of the cohort builder that add additional columns to include the start and end date and also a marker. Hey, as of the last run date, it's actually this client is in the cohort or out the cohort. And also to add a piece of the scheduled task to run this definition regularly so that it can pull in the identify the new clients who eligible for this cohort. So that's what I think it's kind of like an extension, or it could be like an enhancement of the module. That's what I see it, because for our design, we don't load all this client information on the device. So as for small implementation sites, I think they don't run into this kind of issues, even though like they load the client information on the device. But for MPAP, because it's so huge, even though we get like a subset of the subset, it's still quite big amounts of the data, especially some of the clients are in the system for like more than 10 years. It just add the complexity in terms of the size-wise, the data size-wise. So if we can solve this for MPath, I think it would be so cool for other implementation. I don't think they would run into this kind of challenges that we have.
Yeah, I think talking with Burke would be better, I think, Ada, because we need to know what he thinks, because this is touching the core table.
So in the meantime, when I think maybe I would against what I suggested originally to use the static cohort for CDM, especially for the CHV population, because after talking to Manu yesterday, the CHV rollout, they actually don't care who was in the cohort. They only care who is the new client, because they only need to take care of the new eligible clients. So for that piece, I might ask you to help to turn on the dynamic cohort so that it will fit well for that implementation piece. This is exactly against what I already against when we discussed.
Okay, yeah.
So, Manu has a comment. Manu?
Yes, Ada.
You're suggesting to use the SQL cohort?
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if it was possible that because that would also help in narrowing down exactly the client base for if we could use like previously in ODK we used to use the SQL cohorts and they were pretty flexible as compared to the cohort builder. It's just a suggestion. I don't know how possible that is.
So I will bring up all these suggestions to Burke, and then I will share back with you guys what he suggests.
Okay.
So is there anything else before we wrap this up?
We have some other questions, Zita.
Sure.
So, yeah, today we've been facing some issues with building the mUzima Android APK. So we just wanted to just ask you guys, like, if you're seeing the same thing on your end. I think there were some changes, and we're unable to build or generate. The build is failing.
I think Win, hey Win, can you come up?
What is the issue?
I think there was an inclusion made in the pom.xml. The JWay Maven.plugins, the version got changed, and that's causing an issue for us. But I'm not sure if that's why before I actually jump up and say it's an issue, I just wanted to check if you guys are seeing the same thing.
I add the version over there because when I leave out the version, it asks for Maven 3.1, I think, and the structure is different. Can you try removing and then see if it's working again?
Yeah, that's how we got around that problem today. We basically commented
Okay.
that main code and
I'll try to look into this on my side then. Just remove it for now, I think.
okay, great. And there were a couple of other issues that I guess on the Jiras that you guys saw, and we just wanted to. I'm not sure if you guys had the time to look at the comments that we left for you.
Which one? I'm sorry, I lost you a little bit.
Okay. I think most of the comments were left by Ada, so I guess it's a question for her to just checking with her if the comments that we left on the Jira make sense, or do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I only browse through quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you guys cannot reproduce what I So I think, let me just look at here quickly. So for 194, what happened to me is that after I removed some of the concepts, maybe I should show the ticket instead. 194.
I need to run, guys.
Thanks, Wayne.
Please ping me if an email if there is anything.
Sure, thanks, Wayne.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So for 194, what happened is that when I was using the latest APK published a couple of days ago, and trying to to go through, because it includes a lot of fixes and new features and improvements. So I just kind of like play around with the app, and I noticed that when I delete a couple concepts from my device, and after that, it keep running into the issue like saying that fetching data from my local repo. It will show things like this. On the landing page, all the summary become like 0. And then when I tap on any of this button, it would just keep saying that, hey, something went wrong with fetching the, whatever from the local repo, whether it's like the patient or the cohort. So I cannot move any further from that. And so even though when I log out and log back in, I still run into the same issue. So the only way is that I have to force stop the application and then we log in back. After we log in back on the landing page, it will show the correct summary for the cohort, client, forms, and notifications. However, when I tap on it again, it would run into the same issue saying that, hey, issue with fetching data from local repo. So I just want, and I know that you guys say that you are not able to reproduce issues. So I just wonder, is there anything that I need to do in order to provide more information?
So we basically ran through the same steps that you listed on the Jira. That is, we deleted a couple of concepts, we logged out, and we did this a couple of times on both on Vikas's machine as well as mine, and we were using Genymotion as the emulator, and unfortunately we weren't able to see that issue. So the only thing that we could do is try again, or like maybe the next time you see it happening, like maybe we could look into it, because right now I don't know what could be causing this issue.
Yeah. So I think I would try to look at the log, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So that provide more information.
Yes, maybe because we can't recreate. We weren't able to recreate it today. But if we see the issue again, we will take a look at the logs. Or if you have the logs where when you saw this issue, I'm not sure if you do. If you could send it across, it would be really helpful for us.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Yes.
But for example, right now, I cannot reproduce this error, but then I can try again to see if I can reproduce, and then if so, I would keep the log.
Sure, no problem. So that was one of
it's happening again. So it's good.
It's happening again.
Yep.
Can you share the screen?
I don't know how can I share my phone? Let me see 1 second. Let me get it.
So it's okay, Ada, if you can't really share the screen, that's fine. The logs will be okay because you've already attached the screenshot. So I think looking at the screen is not really going to...
Yeah, it's not really helpful.
Yes. So I think the logs, if you could get to them, would be really helpful for us.
Okay. Sure.
I'm not sure how delete. And one thing we wanted to just confirm on part, I think in the beginning of the Jira you said you deleted cohorts, and then somewhere else you said you deleted concept. So which one is it?
Deleting the concept. Not the
Concept.
Maybe I said it wrong.
Yes. So there is no way to delete the cohorts, is there? Like we were trying to delete a cohort and we weren't sure how. Can we actually delete a cohort from the device?
Actually, I should say concept.
Okay. So were you on the settings page when you were deleting the concepts?
Yes. So I go to the settings and then pick the add concept, and it was give you a list of the concepts supposedly, and then you just tap a couple of them and then just delete.
Okay. So we'll try again, Ida, to recreate the issue with the same steps. And if we see it, we'll definitely look into it. And if you see it again, or if you have logs, please send them across. And I think the other Jira that was kind of was the search for the concepts, I think.
Oh yes. So when I go to the same page, so you go to settings, and then you pick add concept. Something on the enter concept. There's no like enter option for me.
So, Ada, I don't, I may be wrong, but I don't think that's a search box. I think that's a way of adding new concepts.
Yeah, it's adding new concepts, but then there's no button for me to add new concept.
It's been implemented as an auto suggest. So just like Google, like how you start typing the first 3 letters and it will suggest possible matches. You don't need to search for it. But it takes time. I'm not sure why it's taking so long because we haven't really modified any of the code that does the search. So even for us, like let's say I want to add the concept of weight. I type WEI and then I wait for a couple of seconds and then it shows me all the possible matches and then I click on from the list I choose which is the concept that I want to add and then it adds it to the list of concepts. So that's how it's working. It's not supposed to have a search button or it's not supposed to have an enter. It's like an auto suggest.
Yeah, it's the auto suggest. It's not even filtering for me.
Okay, because I don't know, maybe I could attach a screenshot because it's working fine for us.
Yes,
but
so
it does take time.
If I type like a few letters that matches, it's to filter out the possible results. But I'm not seeing that.
Okay, maybe I could upload a screenshot because the way we've been testing it is we type the first 3 letters of the concept, like let's say glucose, and then I say GLU and I wait for a couple of seconds, and then it gives me about 20 suggestions, starting with concepts beginning with GLU, the letters, and then I select like serum glucose or something like that, and then it adds it. But what I would say is it does take time for the concepts to get suggested. So sometimes you do feel like it's not working. So maybe just type the first 2 letters and give it some time and see if it, maybe if it doesn't show up even after a minute, then yeah, probably I would think it is an issue.
Sure, I will try again. Wait for probably like 15 seconds or something like that. It's just not showing. So I just find it strange that so that I thought that it's not really doing anything. So maybe I will wait a little bit longer just to see how it is. I might even like use a different phone to a different device just to test it out. So just make sure it's not really my device specific issue. So
Sure. I mean, yeah, the first time around, even we were like, I mean, the very first time we started using the app, we weren't sure what it was doing until like, we waited for some time and then the suggestion showed up and then we realized, oh, that's how it's supposed to work. Maybe the way the search is happening is not very efficient and that's why it's taking so long. I'm not sure. We could look into that, but I think that's the way it's supposed to work. Okay. And I'm not sure if you still have time, but I do have a quick question about the real-time sync. I've left a comment on that, so maybe you could take a look at it and let me know if you're okay with the way it's been implemented. Heda, are you there?
yes, I'm just looking at the ticket.
Yeah.
So I will get back to you later today.
Yeah, it's a little long, so it's been implemented a little differently from how we originally discussed, because basically we just everything's there in the comments. So maybe you could, if you have some questions or some concerns, we could discuss about it again.
Okay.
And one thing I wanted to just point out is, you remember the Jiva about the form definition being pulled from OpenMRS and not from mUzima forms?
Yes, yes.
So yeah, I think Win merged the code, but there was one part of the thing which is like whenever the device tries to download forms from the server, that part seems to be broken, but we fixed it. So if you see any issues, we're like in the process of committing the code for that.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't tested that yet. Probably will do it over the weekend. And then let you know how it goes.
Sure. So if you see any issues with the downloading the form, just like go back one version and you should be fine. We'll probably commit that fix in today.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, or maybe latest by Monday.
Okay, cool.
Thanks. So that's it
So
from
next,
us.
so next Friday, we will have a call. Because next Thursday and Fridays are a holiday, so I think it would be good for us. If you guys need, we can have a call on Wednesday. If you guys feel it's needed, yeah.
Sure, makes sense.
Sure. Okie dokie. Sorry for keeping you guys almost 30 minutes late. Have a wonderful weekend. Communicate through email as well.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.